Starting from each of the 7 scale degrees of the natural minor scale, we have a total of 7 3 notes per string patterns. Let's take a look at the intervals of the natural minor scale. There is a major second between the intervals 1 and 2, flat 3 and 4, 4 and 5, flat 6 and flat 7, and flat 7 and 1, and a minor second between the intervals 2 and flat 3, and 5 and flat 6. Remember that starting the pattern from any other interval will not give us a strictly fourth pattern due to the augmented fourth or tritone between intervals flat 6 and 2. As you might know by now, a tritone from any note is 1 fret away on an adjacent string. The exception here is when the adjacent string is B, in which case a tritone is 2 frets away. In the chart below, you'll see the intervals of the minor scale arranged in a fourth order from left to right. Take note that flat 2, a perfect fourth from flat 6, is notated as a gray diamond. As indicated earlier, flat 6 to 2 is an augmented fourth. As we identify the minor scale intervals across frets, observe the fret adjustments associated with the tritone's location. Let's begin with the EA string pair. You can follow the order in which the intervals circled in red appear in the chart of fourths below. The perfect fourths you see here are 1 to 4, 2 to 5, and flat 3 to flat 6. Moving on to the A-D string set, we have fourths 4 to flat 7 and 5 to 1. An augmented fourth from flat 6 is 2, which can be located 1 fret up on the D string. On the D-G string set, we can identify the perfect fourths flat 7 to flat 3, 1 to 4, and 2 to 5. Since the B string is tuned to a major third instead of a perfect fourth, there is 1 fret separating perfect fourths flat 3 to flat 6, 4 to flat 7, and 5 to 1, are a perfect fourth apart. On the BE string pair, flat 6 to 2 is an augmented fourth. The perfect fourths that follow are flat 7 to flat 3, and 1 to 4. Now that we know how to locate pairs of fourths 2 strings at a time, we are ready to take the next step in the visualization process. Our task now is to identify minor scale intervals across all strings as a continuous chain of fourths. When we begin from 1 on the low E string and count in fourths, we derive intervals 1, 4, flat 7, flat 3, flat 6, and 2. From 2 on the 6th string and moving towards the 1st string, we have perfect fourths 2, 5, 1, 4, flat 7, and flat 3. From flat 3 on the low E string and counting in fourths, we derive flat 3, flat 6, 2, 5, 1, 4. Take a look at the color-coded notes on the neck diagram and the chart of fourths below to get an overview of the intervals in the minor scale as an uninterrupted chain of fourths. Let's turn our attention to identifying minor and major second interval patterns in the 3 notes per string scale system. Now, let's implement a simple hack using the NANDI method to easily identify major and minor second interval patterns in the 3 notes per string system for the natural minor scale. As we begin, follow the animation in the chart below. You will notice that the intervals in the chart are identified in a horizontal fashion. When the lowest intervals in the scale pattern are 2 and 5, we have a minor second followed by a major second interval on each string. The intervals in seconds are 2, flat 3, 4, and 5, flat 6, flat 7. When 1 and 4 are the lowest intervals, we have a major second followed by a minor second interval. The seconds in this pattern are 1, 2, flat 3, and 4, 5, flat 6. From the last three intervals in our pattern of fourths, namely the flats flat 7, flat 3, and flat 6, we have two successive major seconds on each string. They are flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 6, flat 7, 1. We can apply this simple hack to decode all 7 minor scale patterns in the 3 notes per string system, irrespective of starting scale degree. At this point, we would like to bring your attention to the interval pattern that is embedded in our chart of fourths, the major second interval pattern. If you look closely, every other interval is a major second when we read our chart of fourths from right to left. Since our task at hand is to identify seconds in the minor scale, it makes perfect sense to view our chart of fourths from the perspective of the major second interval. Now, let's put our visual recognition skills to the test by identifying the intervals in the following scale shapes. Take a look at the blue dots in this scale shape. Can you identify the lowest intervals on the E, A, D strings? Can you name the starting scale degree? If you said that flat 7 is the starting scale degree and that the blue dots represent stacked major seconds from flat 7, flat 3, and flat 6, you are correct. Now, can you name the intervals represented in the green dots on the high E string? If you said 1, 2, and flat 3, you are right again. Let's try another one. Can you identify the lowest intervals on all 6 strings? If you said they are flat 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, flat 7, you got that right. Here's a quick tip to identify augmented fourths on adjacent strings. Excluding the B string, you will notice that there is a 1 fret distance between the adjacent intervals in the tritone. In this illustration, you can see that there is 1 fret separating intervals flat 6 to 2 on the EA strings. Now, let's do a side-by-side comparison of the minor scale shape in the cage system and 3 notes per string system. First, let's talk about the similarities in the interval patterns in the scale shapes seen below. Both shapes have a minor second, major second pattern from intervals 2 and 5, and a major second, minor second pattern from intervals 1 and 4. The only pattern that is missing in the cage shape is the stacked major seconds from intervals flat 7, flat 3, and flat 6. Instead, we will find a single major second from interval flat 7. We can also see that the intervals flat 3 and flat 6 can never be the lowest intervals in a cage shape since we have intervals 2 and 5 a half step below. On the other hand, we have stacked major seconds from flat 3 and flat 6 in the 3 notes per string pattern. With the knowledge acquired from this lesson, you should now be able to identify intervals in any minor scale with the utmost confidence, all without having to rely on shape memorization. There you have it, hacking the minor scale in the 3 notes per string system with the NANDI method. If you wish to learn other shortcuts to identify intervals in scales such as the pentatonic, blues, and modal scales, we recommend the book Guitar Scales Unleashed and the accompanying namesake workbook. You can download our Scales Training mobile app to help you practice scale visualization while you are away from your guitar.